We're fortunate today to get together and catch one of Sunapee's successful businessmen at home. Albert Stalker lived in this house in 1915. And if we're fortunate enough this morning to catch up with Albert Stalker, who happens to be home today, and we might be able to get him to come down and talk to us a little bit about what it was like living and working and becoming successful in Sunapee in 1915. Let's see if we can get him. Albert, excuse me. I wonder if you could come talk to these folks.
Well, I guess I can.
Thank you. It looks like you were pretty comfortable up there.
Losing my stuff. Go, Henry. These the folks who want to know something about Central Street?
I think they do.
Well, I keep losing my tools. Most important tool, though, is this pencil. Well, I don't generally have much time to chit-chat, but I told Bartlett I would. I guess it doesn't hurt to learn something about living and working in Sunapee. Well, my name is Albert Stalker. I'm a carpenter, a contractor, and a builder. I know you say that doesn't look like me, but I was a younger man then, I was a thinner man then, and I only grow the beard in the winter. I was born in 1874. The program says 1843, and that's wrong, 1874. I was born in 1874. My father's name was also Albert Stalker. But you see, he was Albert B. Stalker, and I am Albert A. Stalker. So nobody's got any cause to call me Junior. 1868, my father married my mother, Susan Johnson. She was a school teacher in Grantham, and that's where they lived. I don't remember much about my father because he died when I was 5 years old, leaving my mother to take care of my upbringing. And she did. She even moved us to New London so I could complete my education at the Colby Academy. 1893, my mother got a job teaching school in Sunapee, and so we moved here. I started carpentry work. Met a fellow, went into business with him. We called ourselves Campbell and Stalker. Then after a few years of hard work and saving a little money, Ernest Bartlett and I bought the Knowlton Block store down the main street. We owned the building, we rented it out. Got $25 a month. It had the general store, the post office, the library, and the telephone exchange. In fact, I got one of the first telephones in Sunapee. My number was 2. Bartlett's was 3. We didn't have much trouble remembering how to get a hold of each other if we needed to. 1907, I married Harriet Bartlett. Harriet was a school teacher, and she is the daughter of Elwyn and Laura Bartlett. She was born in Minnesota, and the family moved here when she was very, very young. Year after that, our first child, William, was born. The year after that, I bought this land and built this fine house. This is where I live. 1913, our daughter Laura was born. Now, I'm going to do my best to see that both William and Laura attend the university when they're ready. But when William's done, I'm hopeful that he'll join me in the business. We're going to call it A.A. Stalker and Son. Well, frankly, Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, I'd be right proud if there'd be a Stalker in the building business in Sunapee for generations to come. Well, being in the building business, say that a few times, being in the building business is not an easy task, and I don't mean just the physical labor. One of my biggest concerns is the cost of materials, and that just keeps rising. Why, not so long ago, I could buy 18 feet of galvanized pipe for $2.16. Sash cord cost me 40 cents, and I could buy 1.5 pounds of nails for a nickel. Well, you know what those things cost today. Labor's not any better. I've got to pay a man 25 cents an hour to get any decent help. And then I got to spend time teaching him how to cut a board before he's much use to me. Of course, I also got to compete with the Haim Company, because they do pay a living wage for a man who wants to work. Well, I've built large things, I've built small things. Of course, the larger houses require detailed blueprints. And then sometimes I find the need to go to Boston because I can get better prices and a better supply of materials. But the traveling, the blueprints, that all costs me money too. Well, I built houses, I built boathouses, I built carriage houses, I built docks. I've worked on many highway and utility projects, including water mains and installing these electric street lights that we're putting in Sunapee and George's Mills. I built the gatehouse to the John Hay estate. I built many of the cottages and buildings on the Grand Leadon property. I built that big house between Job's Creek and Dunning Point that was designed by that New York architect Prentice Sanger. Guess they're starting to call it Seminole Point Lodge. I don't know why. There's never been any Seminoles in these parts. Only Indians around here was Penacooks. Well, I've also built camps and remodeled camps and fixed camps from the harbor down along the Indian Cave Road to Rockmere Landing and beyond that. I've built on Garnet Street, I've built on Garnet Hill Road, I've built on the North Road. I don't like to brag, but there's hardly anything in Sunapee that doesn't have a stock or fingerprint on it. Now, if you want good quality work, I'd be happy to discuss your plans with you. Remember, I'm number 2. 2 little cranks on the phone. Well, back in the day, Central Street was a very close-knit community. I mean, we had everything. We had the doctor next door to bring you into this world. We had the preacher across the street to keep us on the straight and narrow while we was living. And down the road a piece we had the undertaker, who took care of our remains when we met our great reward. Well, we Stockers, we're related by marriage to the Youngs, and the Youngs in turn are related to the Woodsums of the Steamboat family. In fact, I bought this property for this house from Emma Young. And Harriet, my wife, she is the granddaughter of Solomon Bartlett, and that puts us in relation to that huge Bartlett family. I guess Harriet's Ernest's first cousin once removed or twice removed or some relation like that. Same thing with Inez Fisher. I wonder what my forebears would think of all this if they saw Central Street and Sunapee today. My mother, I know, would like to be remembered for her work with the Methodist Episcopal Church and its auxiliary organizations. And, oh, that's another connection I forgot to mention. My mother's sister, Anna, well, she married Lou Goss, the undertaker. In fact, when we first moved to Sunapee, my mother stayed with the Gosses for quite a spell. Oh, they both would be fondly remembered for their fine singing in the church choir. Well, I can hear them now. I come to the garden alone, where the dew is still on the rose. Well, I got my musical talent from my father. That's why I'm a carpenter, and I'm not singing with those lovely ladies over there. Well, as for Harriet, I said that she moved here from Minnesota when she was a little girl. One of her favorite stories was she had a job. And that was, as they moved from Minnesota to Sunapee by horse and carriage, she had to hold the family's kerosene lamp the whole way. Of course, it wasn't lit. But she got it here safely, not a scratch on it, and she was so proud of that. She used to walk by that thing in the house and give it a little good luck pat every time. That's until some scalawag stole the darn thing from the family camp on Baptist Pond. Well, we've got electricity now, so guess we don't really need kerosene lamps anymore. Some folks earlier this morning was asking me about that long building you see down there, down on the main street. Long building, got several barn doors. Well, that's our office, our tool shed, and our building supply shed all rolled into one. I could just about roll out of bed in the morning and roll right down that hill to get to work. Of course, coming home to supper takes a little more effort. Speaking of supper, my stomach tells me that Harriet's got something good cooking in the kitchen, so I think that'll do it. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.